Soul Garden. Live, love, be.
Good morning from my smartphone to yours. I'm Castin Love from the Sirius Joy Garden Studios in Costa Mesa, California. And this is your Monday. Namaste today. Good morning and namaste, and welcome to Namaste Today. I'm your host and spiritual life coach, Christopher Witecki. My modality is psychic astrology, and my mission is to stand in my heart and help other people stand in theirs. This webisode is for Monday, January 25th, 2016, and over the weekend, the Great Human Walk has progressed to Step 5, Aquarius. Hello, my friends, and welcome. Thank you so much for signing in, and thank you so much for all of your shares and the comments you've left on my website at soulgarden.tv. Hopefully, this is going out a little early because over the weekend, we've had a very powerful early full moon. The full moon is in Leo, and the sun is in Aquarius, and this is probably one of the most bittersweet, intense full moons the universe has to offer in a given year. So first, let's start with today's vibe, then we'll kind of retro through the weekend in case you're catching this early so you can understand what's going on. Today's vibe is cloudy with a chance of broken hearts today. That's because Step 5 is ruling the day. That puts us into our mind, and over the weekend, we had a full moon between Leo and Aquarius. Now, full moons in Leo Aquarius ultimately means that the heart will have to do certain cuts. The sun moving into Aquarius is actually the sculptor or the cutter. So Aquarius is really where we belong. And so through the weekend, we get very emotional with our hearts in Leo, which may or may not know where it belongs, and then Aquarius comes in kind of cold and cutting and ultimately says, okay, this is where things belong and this is where things belong. So in essence, the heart gets kind of cut down no matter what. It's the shaving of the heart. It's kind of painful. It's not fun at first. It is in fact bittersweet. Many people might be going through some sort of breakdown, breakthrough, or breakups through the weekend. In fact, I was hearing of close friends of mine going through breakups as early as Friday evening, to be honest with you. So it's very intense, and it kind of comes in as soon as that step 2 emotion comes in. Today, what it's about is rethinking. Now, the good news here is Mercury is direct. That was the final kind of crescendo, that full moon in Leo. Before Mercury went direct, it was the final piece of information, if you will, that the mind got in Mercury retrograde. And so we spent the rest of the weekend rethinking things. Today, we're ready to think forward. So today you are loving your thoughts. Now be careful, it's very easy to get lost in your thoughts in Aquarius. Aquarius is the energy of detachment, and today people can go too far, say too much, especially once Mercury goes direct. So you should probably take today to reflect in yourself as far as where you think you are, where you think you want to be. Now, our feelings are very real. The moon was full in Leo, but has now moved into Virgo. And in this first chapter of Virgo, emotions will be bitter, kind of sore, especially if there's been any kind of tearing or shifting in the full moon. So you kind of have to ride this out emotionally for the next 2 days. It is hyper aware. It is hyper tender, unfortunately. And what you want to focus on are the important details and not focus emotionally on the unimportant details. Only your heart knows. So the more you're in your heart, the better you are. Now, part of this is Venus, which is the I receive, has shifted into cold Capricorn over the weekend. So this is probably Venus's bitchiest sign. She can just be a biatch, okay, and completely shut down, shut off. And so right now, Venus is shutting down to anything that doesn't fall into the new reality, the new rules, the new constitution, which I would say was only finally ratified in the last hours of the full moon and Mercury going direct. So really in this last weekend, people are still figuring out in their final touches about what the new rules are. Today, people are having to swallow those rules or having to face those realities. So complex with the moon in Virgo, which is trining Venus, it's just a whole getting used to a new comfort zone. Now, the I act I am, our ego is charging ahead in Scorpio, which is part of the reason why a lot of powerful changes are happening. And today, Mars is at step 12. That means today, as of Monday, we're in uncharted territories. Most likely a boundary situation, unanticipated. That's because a lot of the preliminary Scorpio work was all about, removing the things that hurt, the things that don't work. But now that we've gotten kind of past that, it's now, can a person move on from personal damage? Can a person move on from their past? And that will separate, the women from the girls, the men from the boys, and that sort of thing. So for everyone, it's uncharted territories. It's uncharted territory for moving on past what you don't know. It's uncharted territory for still being stuck in the same old cycles. You could not graduate. But Saturn really is what we have to buckle down in. Saturn is probably what's hardest here, or where we can get to the clearest imprint and understanding, which is our belief. Your heart is creating this whole ride. What does your heart believe it's supposed to be like? What does your heart want to make it into? And that is what you have to stay focused on in all of this. Even though we're in Aquarius, Aquarius is where we belong, but that comes all from who we are, what we love. So the more you are core to your belief, the easier transition will be for you into where you really are and the star that you can potentially be. So today's joy quest, should you choose to accept it, is identify what's truly important to your heart versus your ego. Identify what's important to your heart versus your ego. I'm going to talk about today's topic, how ego in Aquarius can be misleading at times if you're not super hyper aware of the boundaries. All right, that's a better. Did you hear that honk? I think that's a transition telling me to go. Let's move on to today's topic. Today's topic is ego or freedom. And that question comes from anger not being freedom. Now, I bring this up because of the issue of anger and how it fits into Aquarius. Aquarius energy is all about one's freedom. Everyone wants freedom, and people need freedom. And actually, in the book I read, Conversations with God, one of the great things I loved about that book was God talks about how love must be free, must be kept free at all times. If you try to put restrictions on love, it will corrupt the energies. So everything must be free. And so this is what's hard for human beings, is to understand how something can be free, but at the same time there can be love connected. How can I have what I love and also it be free? And the problem here is the ego. The ego is the part of us, or what I affectionately call our dumbass, that wants to jump all over everything and not actually allow this whole freedom and love. I'll give you an example. If you have like a man who has this beautiful wife and he takes her out and he's, let's say, a young soul, and he doesn't let her be free, his ego is what's getting in the way when another man looks at her and he gets jealous and whatnot. That's his ego. His heart, if you interviewed his heart, probably loves the fact that all the boys like the same girl as him. He probably loves the fact that he has the most beautiful girlfriend. So his heart is actually okay, probably, with her being free. What's the problem? His ego. His ego wants to jump, hump it, piss on it, kill it. This is our primitive male side of us, which women have in particular too. I'm watching Hillary's ego, and I say it with no disrespect. She's towing a hard line, Hillary Clinton, trying to run for president among men, and she's a woman, and yet she has an ego. It's like, men can't handle their ego, and we're asking a woman to handle her ego. It's like, that's a lot. I'll give her so much credit. Ego is a pain in the ass, okay, in the astro. So the truth is that there's a way to detect in a situation if, in fact, your ego is currently taking hostage over yourself, or your heart is taking hostage over yourself, okay? Which one is actually in control? I have a test. But before I give it to you, let's do the 5 o'clock question. 5 o'clock question. Did you ever lose out on something your heart wanted due to ego? Did you ever lose out on something your heart wanted due to ego? And secondly, did you ever get a second chance to get it back? And I say that because this is like every kid's worst fear, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's like that dynamic of being strong for yourself or ruining something. And I'll share a story with you that comes to my heart's mind. Did I ever lose out something due to ego? I have a very, very early imprint of this in my life where we were on a family vacation and we were traveling somewhere in the desert, and my family had been fighting and everything was tense in the family, and actually my Pisces father pulled over to go to a water slide and take the family to a water slide, which was really cool Pisces of him, really. Now, for whatever reason, I was upset inside because my family had been fighting and stuff, and so I was being difficult just because I wanted attention. Like, I was upset from being ignored in the family for so long. Like, I think thinking over this over and over again. So I fought and I kicked and I screamed, and I remember fighting him the whole way up the water slide and telling him I didn't want to do it, and he was just like pushing and pushing so hard for me to just let it go and to go and have this moment of fun. And I couldn't. I went down the water slide once. I actually enjoyed it, and then at the bottom, I insisted on going and winning this argument with him. So my dad let me win, and we left right away after one slide. Got in the car and started driving. At that point, my heart was broken. I wanted to cry so badly because I wanted to be on that water slide so badly, and I wanted to be there having fun with him, and I had ruined everything because I was trying to be, strong and powerful and take the day. And so my ego had gotten in the way of what my heart really wanted, right? And that has been such a bitter, painful memory. I actually think I had an entire lifetime where I let my entire life go down. I think I lost everything in a life because of my ego. And so I think that memory as a child jarred open that past life memory. So even now when I think about it, I almost want to cry on camera. It's very painful. So the point is our ego can get in the way. And in Aquarius, where we are in the early stages of Aquarius, because it's an air sign, it's an intellectual sign. It's a sign where the ego, the smartass and the dumbass can real quickly team up and run away. And because it's Aquarius, you can very quickly turn your back on your own heart and make mistakes in your life that you regret for the rest of your life. Now, the interesting thing about this is Aquarius. This is the highest consciousness next to Pisces. Human beings don't understand Aquarius energy yet. And so, honestly, not many people can pulling off Age of Aquarius kind of things. Not many people really can keep their ego in check, do what's best for all and their heart at the same time. Most people don't know how to do this. So we're just going to have to all be very self-compassionate to ourselves because it's not easy to pull off. But people like myself, people like you who are watching, we're going to try to pull off. And what is it? Well, it's this dynamic of allowing our heart to have what it wants and being okay with whatever that is and being okay with however that happens. So it's like, hey, our heart wants us to have the prettiest girlfriend in town. What that means is when you go out at night, you're going to have to be patient while everyone pays her compliments. You wanted the prettiest girl in town. This is what comes with it, right? Is your heart satisfied? Yes. So your ego has to get over things it has to get over if you want your heart to have this. And this is where compromise really is. People say there's compromise. This is it. The compromise is you tell the dumbass, no. Sorry, dumbass, you're not going to get what you want, which is to have control or hump everyone or tell everyone that you're in charge or any of these lower life form sort of things. Sorry, you can't have this because my heart needs to have this and I'm putting heart first, okay? So whatever full moon event might have happened over the weekend, it's likely looking at Mars in Scorpio, which is pushing for boundaries no matter what, but not necessarily the right boundaries. It's likely that something like this could have happened. And in the next 24 hours, what we're doing is trying to understand what our heart really wants, what was our ego, what is our mind, how do we separate these? And that separation is part of Aquarius, separating the frequencies and understanding the differences between them. All right, my friends. Let's take a deeper look at the planets now with today's Zenden. And welcome to the Zenden. Before we get started, let's take 3 breaths together, shall we? Okay, and I have an affirmation for you that will help you. The affirmation is, my mind is here to serve my heart, and today my heart says, insert. All right? My mind is here to serve my heart, and today my heart says, insert. So I'll just say very quickly, I say this in personal readings, I say this in my personal life coaching. In essence, the sun is our heart, Mercury is our mind. Okay? The sun is gigantic, Mercury is this tiny little pea. Our mind tends to think that it controls the sun, but that's not true. Our mind is meant to go around our heart, is meant to be a slave of our heart, and will never be anything without our heart. So don't let your mind run off too far today. Remember who's boss. All right? So let's take a look at the overhead projector and the planets. And I'll share with you a little crisis I had, just to share the Sensei the serious story. Like my 4-color pen. I forgot to bring my 4-color pen. I even have a backup 4-color pen. I didn't bring it. So I had an inner child temper tantrum right there, right on the set, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And you might go, oh my God, he is such a diva. But the truth is that I tolerate so much stuff, try to stay patient, everything in my life, and the one little thing I want is my 4-color pen. But here's how it is. I went to the store. They had many colors. So I was like, you know what? I'll do it this way. I'm going to stay open. And we actually got purple, which we wouldn't have gotten the 4-color pen. So today, the sun is at step 5. Step 5 is I think. And ultimately, our mind is online. And what are we thinking about? We're thinking about Aquarius. We're thinking about where we belong. Okay? Stalling with this helicopter noise going through, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it. So basically, our mind is on where we belong. Now, over the weeks, and what happened was the sun opposed the moon in Leo. This is a full moon. This would have begun starting Friday night and apexed into Saturday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning. And this full moon is the tug of war between your heart and how you feel about certain things. Here's the thing to note. How you feel about certain things is something we can change. What your heart believes is what your heart believes. And that's the sorting through of this full moon. What does your heart believe versus what your feelings are fighting with what they can change. As of today, the moon moves into Virgo. Okay? And this is actually what my guides told me about when I went in just now. I said, what do you want to talk about? Jupiter. And I'm like, what? What about Jupiter? You know, and basically, in essence, what they showed me was something kind of beautiful. I'll just share with you right now. The image of reality. Human beings get too caught and too attached to certain things in reality, they forget that they created it. In fact, if you want to understand kind of the dynamic between Aquarius and reality, they showed me the image of stalagmites in a cave. I think it's stalagmites that hang down. I can never remember stalagmites or tights. Always got that wrong in science, which one was up and which one was down. But whatever, stalagmites or tights, they showed me like, you know, a stalagmite or whatever, it develops over time, drop by drop, right? And in essence, Aquarius is like that. Aquarius is the top of the stalagmite. It's where you are saying, I belong to this very quietly in your heart. And it will eventually drop down and form reality. Now, what they're showing me is, and that's Jupiter here, Jupiter's been here accelerating our stalagmites very fast this year. We've been growing very, very big, very, very fast. Now, that wasn't because what you were growing was perfect. That's because what you were growing was growing. And you were going with it, okay? As most humans like, oh my God, everything's taking off. And you're just like, well, I just need to go. Let's just do it. Let's just do this. And humans say yes to everything because they're used to things not growing, things not blooming, and not raining, there not being enough abundance, right? So in essence, people grow these really big stalagmites or tights, whatever they are. Someone tell me in the comments, I'm sure. And what I was getting from Spirit was, you know, people's hearts might be getting broken because they're attached to certain stalagmites that weren't even things that their heart consciously grew from A to Z to begin with. They were things that just happened to grow, things they just happened to have, and because we're humans, we get attached to these things. So, this brings me to the story of the moon today. The moon is in Virgo, and as it climbs the early degrees, you emotionally have to let go of stalagmites or whatever that really you can't hold on to anymore. They're just not going to serve. Because why? Because you at least know now that you can grow things very fast, and you will go ahead and grow that new appropriate stalagmite from the Aquarius place of where you really belong. You'll grow your reality from where you belong. Now, many of my clients, this brings us to actually Uranus in Aries. Uranus is in Aries. It's direct. Just want to make sure. Yepers. And that means that we are moving direct with the new man, okay, or the new wombed man, which is Uranus and Aries, all right? And in essence, every human being is going to redefine themselves and recreate themselves. And at this moment, the question is, are you willing to let go of all the wrong stalagmites, believe in yourself, and build a new one from A to Z now? Because if you are, Jupiter will actually build that when it goes direct here in 2 or 3 months. But you can hold on, and you can hold on to the fights of the old ego that wants to be in power, the old ego that still wants to show everyone that it was right the last time. And so if your dumbass is caught up fighting those old games, you won't have the energy to build a new stalagmite, and you will not have the energy to move on, and you will watch everyone move on, so you will learn what you did wrong, and you will hope the next time when you incarnate you can do it. And that's how karma works, friends. So we're in a very powerful moment. Why is it powerful? I'll leave you with this. It has to do with Mercury. Mercury is direct today, and Mercury today is at step 14, which is my solar eclipse, come to think of it. Holy shift, I'm learning on camera with you right now. So step 14 means, is our mind going to come from the old way of belonging or the new way of belonging? Now, in my case, I'll just share on camera. The old way of belonging was, I'm not enough, I have to prove everything to everyone to even be at this table. That's my old way of belonging, that's my old way of decision, that's my old way of power. I'm saying on camera right now, that's not where I'm even coming from. I'm coming from everything is working just fine, and that's the key. Today, step 5 rules the day. Today, step 5 is I think. I think is Mercury. It's all about what you think today. Are you going to think from the old wounds and the old stalagmites and the old ego that wants to win the old wars, or are you going to think from the new you where this isn't even an issue to begin with? And it's not easy to pull off, it's a master stroke, but you can do it. Okay? Alright, I think that is everything. I mentioned the open that Venus was receiving the new rules. That's this, Venus at 3 degrees. So as soon as you start thinking about from the new power perspective and not from the old power perspective, the new rules of how that works will come. All right, friends, let's turn off that overhead. Just a shout out that, Bizarro training will continue for my series joiners. If you are a member of my subscription service, you know I've been coaching you from 12 o'clock on every day in your personal sensei about dealing with and embracing this personal Bizarro self of yours. If you're having any trouble with what we're going through here in the next couple days, go review some of those texts, okay? Because I spent a lot of time making sure they would guide you and be a little more timeless than usual, because I knew we were going to be going through a little bit of dimensional shift. For all those who would like to try my personal sensei service, it's only 99 cents to learn 7 secrets to your soul. Come on down to seriousjoy.me to learn more. All right, friends, good luck, break through, and I'll see you tomorrow with more in Venus Rules Today. Until then, remember, I love you, and live, love, be.
SoulGarden.tv.
Okay. I'm ready.